So Disney has given us a lot of little sneak peeks into what's coming from Star Wars later this year over the last couple days. Specifically, I'm referring to the short film made for Star Wars Squadrons named Hunted, and the new trailer for Season 2 of The Mandalorian. So today I figured I'd give my thoughts and first impressions on the short film and the trailer. And of course, I'll do a little bit of speculation on what we're going to see with Squadrons and the second season of The Mandalorian. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. Before we get into these, I will not be playing the short film or the trailer in full. I'll be showing just little clips from them, so if you want to watch them beginning to end, which I highly recommend you do before watching this video, I'll leave some links down below in the description. So let's start with Hunted. Hunted is a short film put out to promote Star Wars Squadrons. It tells the story of a TIE interceptor pilot for the Imperial Navy during the Battle of Var-Shah. The short opens with the Imperial forces retreating from the system. As this squadron of TIE fighters are retreating to the Imperial capital ship, the Overseer, the leader of this unit of TIE fighters receives a call from a TIE bomber that's pinned down by enemy forces. He breaks off from the retreat to go rescue his fellow pilots. However, in the attempt to rescue them, they are destroyed. He is then unable to make it to the Overseer before it is forced to jump out of system. He then spends the rest of the trailer running away from an X-Wing that is attempting to hunt him down. Their fight ultimately leads them down into the atmosphere of Var-Shah, where our TIE pilot is able to defeat his pursuer. Ultimately, I think this trailer does a really good job capturing the desperation of Imperial forces after the death of Emperor Palpatine. It brings up some of the questions like, without Palpatine, what are the Imperials still fighting for? It shows confusion in the Imperial ranks and general disappointment in the way the war is going. And it shows a level of cockiness on the part of the New Republic. With the defeat of Emperor Palpatine, many rebel pilots had assumed that the war was basically over. As a result, we see things like the X-Wing pilot taunting the TIE fighter pilot about how the war is already over and they've already lost. But at the end of the trailer, our TIE fighter pilot is quoted as saying that the war is not over for him. Something that echoes a sentiment that I think is pretty widespread in the Imperial military. Even though Emperor Palpatine is dead, the war continues for them. As for what this says about the game, well, it does a good job showing us what kind of attitude we can expect from the Imperial side of the campaign. Generally, we should get a good look at the desperation of the Empire following the death of Emperor Palpatine. I'm sure we'll see some of the characters in Titan Squadron grappling with the idea of fighting after the death of the Emperor, and questioning really what what's left of the Empire really stands for. So now that we've talked about Squadrons, let's talk about The Mandalorian. We have our first trailer for the second season of The Mandalorian. This trailer opens with a shot of the Razor Crest, which does appear to be significantly damaged, and it kind of looks like it's drifting in space. We do see it flying and intact later in the trailer, so we do know that it's either repaired at some point during the season or working at the beginning and damaged halfway through. I'm under the impression that later in the trailer, when we see the Razor Crest falling into a planet's atmosphere engulfed in fire, that it's somewhere around the time that we see it drifting in space. Elsewhere in the visuals, we get a good look at New Republic forces when a pair of X-Wings seem to be escorting the Razor Crest. We see them flying both in space and in an atmosphere. We get another look at more Outland TIE fighters, which are the TIE fighters with the folding wings, and we get some looks at an Imperial facility. I think it's noteworthy that the aesthetics on the interior of this Imperial facility are far more similar to the aesthetics of the inside of a Resurgent-class Star Destroyer than they are to the interior of something like the Death Star or a Star Destroyer. I think this does a good job showing that in the later years of the Empire that it was starting to resemble what the First Order would be in the future. As for dialogue, we get a line about the Mando having to return the child to his people specifically being the Jedi, described in the trailer as an ancient race of sorcerers that are the enemies of the Mandalorians. I think this leads a perfect opportunity for him to stumble upon Ahsoka. We know that Ahsoka Tano will be playing a role in Season 2, and that is the perfect spot to fit her in. If that's not the role that Ahsoka will be playing in the show, then that means that the Mandalorian will have to visit something like Luke's Jedi Temple. A temple which we don't even know exactly when it was constructed, so it may not have even been built at this point in the timeline. As for Boba Fett, who has been rumored to be in Season 2 for months now, there's really still no sign of where he can fit into this story. But that being said, that's only stuff from the trailer. There's obviously still more to come and more story tidbits to be released, hopefully before the series drops at the end of October. So that's what we got, a new trailer for The Mandalorian and Hunted, a short that really shows off the capabilities of the TIE Interceptor. If you want to learn more about the history and design of the TIE Interceptor, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I'm going to give you guys a tough question today for the comments. Which are you more excited for, Squadrons or The Mandalorian Season 2? And be sure to let me know what you thought of Hunted in the Season 2 trailer. And lastly, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.